Hey friends, welcome to Functional Medicine for Moms, where we take root cause approach to fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and raising healthy families. I'm your host, Dr. Kelly Moline, a pharmacist and functional medicine consultant. Whether you're preparing for pregnancy, trying to conceive, navigating life with a newborn, or simply looking for practical ways to support your health naturally, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into functional medicine, natural solutions, and honest conversations from our own family's journey plus interviews with experts along the way. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to our podcast, Functional Medicine for Moms. Today I have Holly with me, and I know that a lot of people already know Holly, especially if you're in our community, especially in the Crunchy Moms community of Flower Mound, as she is the creator of that group on our Facebook group. So I know she doesn't need a lot of introduction, but that is how I know her. I was blessed to get connected with her, and we have a lot of Crunchy provider meetups as well. So I had the opportunity to meet a lot of like-minded providers through Holly as well. And Holly has shared a lot about her experience with infertility and her journey through that. And so today we are talking about our experiences and how my new Preparing for Pregnancy guide can really benefit those preparing for pregnancy, trying to conceive, or anything in between. So, Holly, if you want to introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself and your story.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me on your beautiful podcast. Yeah, so I started the Crunchy Moms Facebook group back during COVID, not long after we all were sent home. I was raised by a very holistic mother back before that was a thing, and I'm so grateful for that. And so during COVID, I started the Crunchy Moms group because I had a neighbor that was also crunchy, meaning like holistic. And we could talk for hours about raising our kids and, all the essential oils and homeopathy and all of these things. And here we were, everybody was at home and, you had this big health thing going on. And should you get the shot? Should you not? And I thought everybody needs a neighbor like I have. And so that's why I started the Crunchy Moms group. Now we have over 2,400 ladies in there 6 years later, and it is the best Facebook group on Facebook. Just super sweet, no fear mongering, very empowering. And I'm so proud of our community and the group we've developed. And the purpose of it was to learn from each other and local providers about health and, natural wellness. And we have had a lot of practitioners join the group, and which is fantastic. And so I'm not sure, maybe a couple of years ago, we started a monthly provider meetup. And that has been one of the most beautiful things that's come out of the group, to have these like-minded providers come together and not just pass out, business cards and network, but truly collaborate, work together. It's just been amazing to see friendships form out of that and true collaboration. So I'm proud of the group and I love that we have it. And I'm so glad you're part of it.
Thank you. I love it too. And even just different types of providers in the group, from chiropractors to therapists to PT. You really get the feel of how it all can benefit each other. And now I'm sending my clients to the nervous system focused chiropractic and go to this therapist because they'll really specialize in what you're dealing with and, all of that stuff too.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking about that along those same lines, and I know we're going to get into fertility in a little bit. But when you go to just a mainstream medical doctor, it's real focus. It's limited in focus. So it's like, this is your problem, and so this is the assigned medication that you take for that problem. Maybe you have one other choice, or the next step is this procedure. And when you get in the holistic realm and you realize that there's so much of us, we have the mental side, the nervous system, the physical side, the relationships, the past trauma, and that all works together. It is amazing, but it also can be a little bit complicated when we're facing health issues because there's so many different providers with different specialties, and you almost need a quarterback to say, this is where you need to start, or this, because there's just so many choices and they're all amazing. So anyway, that goes into our fertility discussion, which I know we'll get into.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is a good segue, but I'll make this segue. Is kind of why I wanted to create this guide for fertility and for preparing for pregnancy. Because to your point, there are so many things that affect pregnancy, from the supplements you take, from the nutrition, your stress levels, the physical side, all of that. So I wanted a space that someone can stop in and they don't have to do that endless Googling and get all of those like different referrals, and also has links of what type of chiropractor would be really good for this and
Yeah,
all of that so that it can be the most helpful resource. And anyone from thinking about trying to conceive or they've been trying to conceive for a long time, that it can still benefit them.
that's right. I love it. I'm so excited about your guide. It's absolutely beautiful. And in my own fertility journey, so my husband and I tried for 13 years to get pregnant. We started a couple of years into marriage, started trying to get pregnant, and it was 13 years later before we had children, and I never got pregnant. Our children came to us through the miracle of adoption, and I'm super grateful for that. But, I won't go into all the details of my story, but when you're in that holistic world and you have all these options and you're trying to figure out where to start, it hits your finances so hard. It hits so many things. Uh, Relationship, all these things, but finances are a big one, which adds stress when you're spending money, figuring out who to go to, and you go to somebody and maybe they're not a good fit. So it was kind of a waste of money. And then you got to go to somebody else, and maybe that was good, but it wasn't really targeting the problem because you're not sure what the problem is. And so then you have to spend money on, you know, what is the problem? So you need to get labs run, or the diagnostic type things, and all of that costs money, which puts stress on your finances, which affects your marriage. And so to have this guide can save people so much money because it really narrows down, like, here are the here are the areas to focus on. And some of these things you can do without spending money.
Mhm.
Eating well, or those types of things that we can do and be empowered to have control of over our own journey. And then also, like, these are the things you don't know until you get some lab work done. And so we're going to do that, and then we'll know. And then it just helps you go step by step instead of feeling like there's 1,001 things I can choose. And so many people say, well, this was what was what did it for me, and I got pregnant. So you go try that. And somebody else
Mhm.
has a testimony of, well, when I did this, that's when so you try that, and maybe that worked for them, but not you. And whereas your guide helps you, I think it's going to help so many people reduce their mental stress because they have that quarterback to say, these are the areas that we're going to focus on, and here's your options. Here's what you can just control yourself, and here's where you need help. And when you need help, here's what you're looking for. And it's just that takes the mental stress, because infertility is so difficult mentally because there's so many there's checklists in your mind of all the things you need to be doing so that you can be healthy and get pregnant. There are just so many decisions to make of, should I go this route? Should I do this? Is it time to talk about adoption? Meanwhile, you may be grieving a miscarriage and just the load that takes on you. So I just love that your guide is going to take some of that mental stress off so many people.
Yeah, to your point, and a little bit for the people who don't know my backstory too, I when we decided to start trying, we ended up getting pregnant right away, thankfully. Although that ended up being a miscarriage, and that was really hard. We miscarried around 9 weeks, and then we had the surgery and the recovery, and it was something that I always thought of, like, would be one of the hardest things to go through would be, like, a miscarriage or not being able to conceive because you feel so powerless in
Mhm.
that. And for someone whose health is a big part of their identity in the field I'm in, it feels, like, almost shameful to
Yes.
go through something like that. And
Yes.
during that recovery time, I just wanted to talk to people who went through that experience and who dealt with that, and I feel like there's not a lot of people talking about it, but I think more people are talking about it now, which was very helpful for people like me because I think people they felt awkward about it. They didn't know if I wanted to talk about it. They didn't want to bring up something that was a sore topic.
Yes.
So I felt
So
like
true.
people were avoiding it in general or avoiding me because they didn't know how to talk about it with me. And so it was really isolating, really lonely. And then after that, through the recovery mentally and physically, and then like you talked about, like every month, I felt like I was almost trying something new for a while. Like, let me try this, let me try this, let me try that. It was endless Googling and trying to figure out what it was, what the secret was, what the secret tea, supplement, anything like that to be able to get pregnant. And that's just not always how it works. Obviously, there's people with testimonies out there and different supplements and this and that people swear by. But all in all, I know it's God's creation and God's timing for all of it. And not having gone through my own miscarriage and that waiting period. And then, like, about a year after a miscarriage is when we conceived our daughter, Danielle. And then there was some trials with that, but now she's beautiful, healthy, 16-month-old who just started walking. So that's really fun.
Yay.
But it's really, really hard.
It is.
So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of grief involved. I call it silent grief. Fertility. So there's fertility and there's miscarriage, which are go hand in hand, right? Because ultimately we want a baby that's born that we can hold, that's alive. And sometimes that we don't get that because we got pregnant and it ends in miscarriage. And that is a heavy grief because it is a true death. And death is always hard. And then when that death is like, that's not the end now. I still want to get pregnant. So you still have this desire to get pregnant while also grieving the death of your child. And then infertility that I went through where you never get pregnant is a whole different kind of grief because there's no event to grieve.
Mhm.
When there's a death, people are sorry that happened. But when there's no pregnancy at all, there is nothing that happened. So there's no event. And so you grieve silently. And I think a lot of people, those who are close to you, that they know you want to get pregnant, they know you're having a hard time, but like you said, they don't know what to say. And at some point it just becomes salt in the wound. Like, I'm not going to keep asking her how's the pregnancy
Mhm.
pursuit going. Like, you just don't talk about it, which is, it's a form of honoring, but then everything is silent and nothing
Mhm.
is talked about. So you grieve silently, and while others are celebrating, and you know that while your friends are beginning to be parents and raise their children, and they're relating to others who are now parents, and you can't relate to that because you don't have a child. And so, it's a stress on just who you are in relation to your friends. And even in my own family, I have three sisters who all had children, and I grieved. My children are not gonna know their cousins in the way my sister's kids know each other. They're very close to each other, and they're all adults now, and my kids are 10 and 11. So they love each other, but it's a total different relationship. So I grieved that as I was going through
Mhm.
the fertility journey. So anyway, just to your point, like, there's a lot that we deal with in that mental, emotional. And if I could say too, you mentioned just something about God's creation. And my husband and I are very close to the Lord. We are Christians. And that too was a huge struggle for us to understand, where is God in this?
Yeah.
there's so much that's going on in our bodies and, what do we choose to eat and what path are we taking and the supplements, all this. But there's a piece of it that's like, Lord, we're praying. And at any moment you could speak, touch our bodies, make it, and this would work. We could get, why haven't you done that? And so that was a huge part of our journey is not and I failed and recovered, but not holding an offense against God.
Yeah.
Why did you give everybody else a baby, but you didn't give me a baby? Now,
Mhm.
praise the Lord, I have two beautiful children through adoption. But in that time, I was so angry at God, and so was my husband, and it was honestly and it didn't change right when we adopted. It took a while for us to get over that, and I pray others don't have that struggle like we did. It was a real lordship issue for us of saying, "This is your plan, and you will work it out how you want it to be." But for us, it was a huge part of our journey of not
Mhm.
understanding where the Lord was in that and being able to say, I release the control of that.
Yeah. When we had our miscarriage, and I'm sure a lot of people deal with this, and just feeling like, why? And, God loves children. Why would this happen? And something that had peace with me, like you hear people say, oh, it's all in God's plan. And that does not feel better at all.
What does it?
But hearing God has a plan for that helped me in, like, something can happen, but then he can turn it into good.
That's right. That's right.
So being able to connect with the people who have dealt
Mhm.
with that, whether that be infertility and never getting pregnant, whether that be history of miscarriage. If we would have gotten pregnant, right away and had that beautiful baby right away, there wouldn't have been that part of me that related to
That's
this
right.
side. This guide probably never would have existed
That's right.
because I wouldn't have gotten it. It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, just time it and do all the
Yeah.
right things and you'll have a baby.
That's right. That's right. And I see that in my life too. The number of people I've been able to talk to about infertility, about adoption, about grief that I've walked through that I wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't have known what to say to any of those people. But to see God's redemption in it is absolutely healing to see that it's not necessarily that he planned these things, but like you said, there's a plan in it. He brings redemption and he brings even the worst things in our life, he can bring good out of it. And I see that happening with both of us.
Yeah. I want to touch a little bit of what is included in this guide for the people who this may be brand new information to them that this guide exists. So let me see if I can share my screen for the people who are watching, whether that be YouTube or on Facebook or whatever that looks like for you. But for the people listening, I will also share verbally. So here are my table of contents for this. Let me see if I can move this over. So I have a preconception timeline. So are we 6 to 12 months out? Are we 3 months out? Are you planning on trying next month? I have a timeline of what you should be doing at each point in preparing for pregnancy. And then once we're starting to try what that looks like as well, we're talking about the 4 foundations of fertility, which is what I call it, which we're talking about nervous system regulation, sleep and circadian rhythm, blood sugar stability and nutrition, and then gut health and fertility. We're talking more about that nutrition and ingredients and the macronutrients and micronutrients and fertility. We're talking about tracking ovulation, confirming ovulation and timing intercourse, cycle tracking, frequently asked questions, lifestyle and environment, men's health and fertility, supplements for fertility, supplements for male fertility. I think male fertility gets skipped a lot. So I
It
wanted to
does.
make sure that both parts of the equation are really included in this guide. We're
Yes.
talking about recommended fertility labs. So I think that that was something that you talked about would be really helpful. And I'm really excited to be able to offer just affordable and accessible labs that people can get done at a nearby Quest or a blood draw center so that they can really take ownership of their own health earlier. They don't have to wait for that 6 to 12 months before doing any sort of workup, and get that done right away. Semen analysis, male fertility testing, and I'm also interviewing the expert on the semen analysis, which will be an interview coming up in a podcast in the future. So I'm really excited to share that. How to complete those fertility labs. It amazes me how many times, like women, told to get these hormones done and they're not told when in their cycle to even get them done. So
Mhm.
these ones that I'm talking about are our day 3 labs. So day 3 of your cycle. So your period is day 1. And so day 3 is when to collect these labs. If we're doing it on day 17 or a different day, your numbers are going to be way different than at the beginning of your cycle. So just instructions on how to do that so the information we do get is actually valuable. How to complete the semen analysis, kind of in the same step. Choosing the right fertility lab panel. I have 3 different lab panels on 3 different price points and 3 different uh, comprehensiveness. So we can get as basic while still being really inclusive of metabolic health and lipids, inflammation, all these things, nutrition, or we can get even more in depth looking at those hormones, looking at ovarian reserve, like how many eggs do we have left, that type of thing, which can be really helpful, especially if we've been trying for a while or
Yeah.
are older in age.
Wow.
And then not sure where to start. Again, that quarterback feel of this is where I am. This is how long we've been trying. This is where we need to start to get, the best bang for our buck, not only finances, but time-wise as well.
Yes.
And then fertility timeline and next step. So Holly actually gave me this idea to add it into my guide of what does IVF look like? What does IUI look like? What are the costs associated with those things? What does that look like? What are the success rates? So I touch into all of that because it can be really expensive, and just because it's expensive doesn't mean that obviously it works all the time or even 50% of the time. So knowing what that looks like and knowing that it can take multiple rounds and it's, a miracle in itself. So if we're going that route, knowing to be prepared for that can be really helpful too. And then what it looks like working with me. So I like that this guide can get a lot of more of that simple stuff done and even some of those more simple labs or get some lab testing done. And you're able to do all that without booking an appointment with me and paying my like consultation fee that comes with that. But there are those people that are going to need more help, and functional medicine is really, really great for that because we can get a lot more in depth into hormones, cortisol, gut health, need to detox, food sensitivities, anything like that. We can get more information, and that can come with an investment, like we talked about, but knowing that okay, we have these labs done and there's a lot of markers off, and now I need extra help can be a lot more informational and know that that is the next step rather than diving in because a lot of people may be able to conceive without going the route of functional medicine. And I completely understand that.
Mhm.
So getting those low-hanging fruit with the foundational labs, are we low in vitamin D or B12 or anything like that? Well, now I know to take those supplements or to improve my lifestyle in these ways, um, where, okay, if we get all that and we're still not conceiving, or there's a lot of things off and I need more of expert help with that, now we can work with me or even a local practitioner that you trust or works with fertility. Either or, take those labs and bring it to them. And we have a lot of the basics done that they're going to counsel you on anyway. And
Yes.
any of this that's improving your health and lifestyle and all of that is just going to help improve your egg, your sperm, all of that, so that we're taking the foundations and giving them the best chances of making it into a baby, too. And then I share my story, and then again, more resources like finding that nervous system focused chiropractor, the fertility device I used, and a coupon to be able to get that. Stuff like that. Way to get the labs, way to get the supplements that I recommend and that I personally took myself. So, yeah, that's just a little bit more about my guide. So the people listening can know more. And then this is my launch week. So I just launched it the first, or I guess the night before the first. I launched it a little bit early, and it's 35% off for this week. So you can purchase it on my website, molenemethod.com/fertility, or check it out there. And yeah, you can get it. It's priced, the base price is $75 and the sale price is $49. So when we're talking especially about fertility education and costs that come into fertility, it's just such a small price to be
Very.
able to take a step into that right direction and know we're getting the right things done.
It's so reasonable and so worth it. And I just want to emphasize too, Kelly, that that this guide is not only helpful for those who are already feeling like now I'm getting in the range of infertility, like we've been trying long enough, but there's so much information in there that's just great pre-pregnancy health. Like we're starting to talk about trying to conceive. There's so much in there that is important for couples to know. Get as healthy as you can be. It's going to help your pregnancy and your birth so much and your
Mhm.
child so much if you address these things before you get pregnant. So I just want to put that out there that it's not only helpful for those who have already been struggling, it's helpful for
Mhm.
anyone who's trying to conceive. And then also, I love that it's not just local, that these things, they don't have to come to your brick and mortar store and sit down and see you. This is something they're going to get and be helpful immediately and also be able to benefit from your services remotely. So it's not just for those who are local. I love that.
Yeah, yep. I do see people 100% virtually. So if you do choose to see me too, I can offer that. Thankfully, in this day and age, we have that versus via telehealth as well. And like your point too, just not about always trying to conceive, but I think we normalize so many pregnancy symptoms from the morning sickness and the preeclampsia and gestational diabetes. And this just happens when you're pregnant is I hear this a lot. You Google anything when you're pregnant and they're like, that just happens when you're pregnant. I don't
Yeah.
know. You just have to deal with it. And so the more we can do on the preparing side and their preconception health for the woman and the man can be so helpful to have a healthier, happier pregnancy and then a healthier baby as well, which is what we all want. And then, Holly, do you want to share the news that you've been working on as well?
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity. So, more local, but ultimately maybe not. So, it has been a dream of mine for honestly for years to do health summits or seminars. And I just, between raising kids and not quite knowing how to put all that together, it's been years that it's just been a dream. And when you and I began to talk about this subject, and your guide, I knew it's time. And because this subject is so near and dear to my heart, I was passionate about it. And anytime you're passionate about something, you just get it done. It doesn't matter if you don't know how to do something, you'll find a way because you're passionate about it. So thank you, Kelly, uh, for meeting with me and hearing my story and developing this guide, because all of these conversations has given me the drive to host a health seminar here in the Flower Mound area. It will be in August on a Saturday, and we will bring in local practitioners to speak to the subjects that are foundational to pre-pregnancy health and fertility. And it is going to be amazing. I've already got some of the speakers lined up, and we will be addressing everything from hormones to fitness, nutrition, mental health, all of these things. And I think it is just going to be a beautiful day, and I'm really excited about it. So thanks for fueling the fire inside of me to get it done.
I'm so excited for it too. And even finding more couples going through the same thing that you're going through can be really helpful because it is such, I know, a private thing, but sometimes like an isolating thing as well. So finding
Absolutely.
people where maybe they're thinking about trying in the next 6 to 12 months, or they have been trying, and being able to relate on that level. And then hopefully, in that same sense, you're being able to have children around that same time and raise them. And, it just goes on from there.
Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful. All right. Well, we can wrap up there. And Holly, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to my podcast, Functional Medicine for Moms. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss one, leave a quick 5-star review, and share it with your mom friends who love it too. I'm Kelly, with a background as a pharmacist and training in functional medicine. I help women move past fatigue, brain fog, gut issues, and hormone struggles so they can thrive in everyday life or prepare for a healthy pregnancy. Through lab testing, personalized supplements, and functional medicine coaching, I help you feel better, faster, naturally. Want to connect more? Head over to molinmethod.com or come hang out with me on Instagram and YouTube at Functional Medicine for Moms. On my site, you can order professional grade supplements at my discount or book a free discovery call if you'd like to see how we can work together on your health. This podcast is for educational purposes only and not medical advice. Always talk to your provider before making changes to your health plan. And remember, healthy moms raise healthy families. Catch you next time. New episodes released every Wednesday.